I want to share with you what no one talks about, and it's how trauma wires your nervous system to actually seek safety in all the wrong places and in all the wrong ways. So if you've done a lot of work to detox your life of toxic people and yet you still feel anxious, numb, detached, or constantly on edge, even after all toxic people are removed from your life, then this video is going to explain what's going on and how to begin healing from this. So that being said, let's dive in.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michelle. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner and the founder of the School of Transformation, which is where I meet live on Zoom every week and I do the inner work with survivors from all over the world of childhood trauma together. Here on my YouTube channel, we talk about what healing is about, what it looks like, the symptoms of unhealed trauma. But in the School of Transformation, we do the inner healing together. So if you're ready to take the next step, make sure you join me weekly on Zoom.
So when you're in a relationship with a narcissist who is a person who has an intent to harm you, I know that that's hard to wrap your mind around, but basically narcissists intentionally hurt you. We can say it more nice and say that if you're in a relationship with somebody who uses your nervous system to regulate themselves, which hurts you and helps them, either way you want to describe it, when you're in those types of relationships, your nervous system gets stuck in the on position 24/7. And so when your nervous system is stuck in the on position, you don't feel safe inside. You feel on edge. You feel agitated, nervous, fear. There's this invisible dread that is constantly in your body. And so we try to find safety, oftentimes by avoiding conflict and trying to get the other person to not get angry. And in our defense, we do that. We try to get them to never get angry because when they are angry, they inflict so much emotional pain. So in an effort to try to avoid the abandonment, the rejection, and the pain that they inflict when they're angry, we wind up going into coping skills that feel good in the moment, that feel like they can bring safety, but they really bring long-term harm. So let's talk about 3 common coping skills that we wind up getting stuck in, that wind up disconnecting us from us. And let me know in the comment section if you've found yourself being stuck in any of these coping skills. Number 1 is appeasing simply to avoid conflict. In other words, you begin walking on eggshells, you over-explain, you over-apologize, and maybe you say yes when every cell in your body is screaming no. In fact, you shrink yourself in an effort to avoid setting off the landmines. So it might look like laughing at their cruel, backhanded compliments or jokes just to keep things light, or pretending you're not hurt when in fact they're inflicting so much emotional pain, or even taking the blame just to stop the argument. We basically become like a chameleon, constantly changing shape and colors simply to survive in this unpredictable jungle of a relationship. And what I wish somebody had told me a long time ago is that being a chameleon, changing myself to make someone else happy, does not create safety. It creates the kind of self-abandonment that prolongs suffering after emotional trauma. And let me tell you, when you finally do start putting the focus on yourself and wanting to heal, with so much self-abandonment, your nervous system has not only lost trust with people on the outside, but also with you. With so much self-abandonment, your body begins viewing you as a threat. The second coping skill that we get stuck in that often backfires is seeking external validation simply to be able to feel okay. Narcissists work hard to train you to question your own reality. And the reason why this works is because the very people that are doing this to you are people that we are expected to trust. Our family, our parents, a good friend, a significant other. And so when they say things that don't make sense, rather than noticing like, that's a really rude thing to say, we think, oh, they care about us. They must love us. They must be telling the truth. Therefore, this is weird. Maybe I'm seeing things wrong. And we begin losing self-connection and using them as complete trust as to what is reality. Their perspective becomes what guides our view of reality. And this shows up in this desperate need for them to feel the same way as us, to validate our thoughts, to validate our perspective, to see our truth. It's like this need. We lose the ability to be like, you're allowed to see things differently. I have my own perspective. We think we need them to have that same perspective as us because in a very covert way, that's how they are with us. This is such an emotional grip because it almost feels like you're dangling from a ledge by a rope and the rope is made up of their opinion of you. That's how intense that feels. But the truth is, real safety never comes from someone else's approval because what the narcissist gives always has strings attached and they take it away just as quickly as they give it. The third coping skill that we get stuck in is overfunctioning to feel in control. In other words, you become the fixer, the emotional caretaker. You live your life anticipating every mood swing, every need, every disaster before it even happens. And the brain never gets a rest because it's almost like if you can just manage it all, maybe then the chaos will stop and there will be a measure of connection and safety. But this hyper doing and hyper managing keeps your nervous system stuck in hypervigilance, stuck in the on position, and your body never feels at rest. There's no peace, there's no calm, there's constant, chronic feeling on edge. You don't rest, you don't breathe, you don't even know what you feel anymore because you're so focused on the other person. And this being on edge makes it very easy for the narcissist to then put in you their stress and their drama that they don't want to carry because your anxiety is so up here that the little things that they do now fling you into a huge response. So now they don't have to work so hard to get you to react in a way that helps regulate their own nervous system. But trying to be that hypervigilant to try to manage them doesn't work. I don't know anybody that's done it and been successful, and it's unsustainable for you. So then what's the answer? It's not about trying to manage them so that you can feel safe. It's also not about forcing your body to feel safe, bullying your body into submission. It's not yelling at your anxiety. It's not hating your shame. It's not pushing through the discomfort as if the discomfort is the problem to get rid of. The reality is that true safety does not lie in their approval. It does not lie in their permission. It's about strengthening that inner felt sense of safety. And here's something that might be difficult to believe, especially if you've been stuck in narcissistic or toxic relationships for a long time. But you can actually feel safe even when there's a toxic person in your environment, whether it's at work, whether it's in the family. Now, I know that's hard to believe because we tend to think that we can only feel safe when somebody else changes. But the truth is that we can help our nervous system to update and understand that unhealthy people are not pleasant to be around. They do not make us happy. They can make life difficult, and yet our life is not on the line. Because what tends to happen with narcissistic abuse, I say this all the time, narcissists love to dig their claws into your unhealed trauma. And in childhood, being rejected is a life or death situation. And so when you're in an adult relationship with a narcissist, your nervous system is confusing real past threat with perceived threat. They may be unpleasant and your life is not on the line. And that's the part we have to help our nervous system to understand. Now, obviously, this advice and this information is not for anybody that is in a physically dangerous situation where their life really is on the line. This information is really for people that are in emotionally abusive relationships. Not that I'm diminishing that, not that I'm making it less important, but there is that my life is not on the line factor. And when we can understand that and help our nervous system to understand that, that's one of the first steps in beginning to create and strengthen inner safety. And by the way, guys, if this is a topic that interests you, I have another live free webinar on the 18th of April. Come join me. I'll leave the link to register here. It's completely free. We're going to deep dive into this topic of inner safety after trauma.